Hello again everyone, it's me Matt, hope you're having a wonderful day. So today we're talking about equipment, and specifically equipment that you can take into the field or on operational exercise to make your life a little bit more easy when deploying or doing what you need to do in your specific job or trade. Equipment that you can take into the field sometimes is very specific to the user. You know, everybody has their own preferences, especially in your own specific trade or field or, job role that you have. Infantry will have their own specific things they want, artillery, armored corps, logistics, medics, whatever it may be. You're going to have your own personal things that you wish to take with you in the field, but there's definitely a sort of a universal type of extra equipment that you can invest in and spend a little bit of money on to make your life a little bit smoother and make you perform at your 100% or 110% maybe, or just to make you feel like you can actually get through an operational deployment or an exercise a lot smoother and happier than you would be than if you didn't have some of these things. Now, a bit of a disclaimer for you here, folks. This video is not endorsed by any product, by anyone. It's not endorsed by the army. It is purely information provided by myself to give you a little bit of an idea of the kind of things that I think are very useful for you to have in the field. Now, be aware that some of these things are not cheap, and if you're going to actually invest in getting some of these products or some of these items, I would strongly encourage you to not go cheap. Try and find quality products. You don't want stuff to fail for you in the field, especially if you're buying it to go on any operational deployments or operational tours. There's no point saving $15-20 here and there for a bit of kit when the extra money could actually potentially help you a lot more in the long run. Some of the items that I'll mention I'll specifically relate to this point because it is pretty crucial that if you do buy cheap stuff, it's just a complete waste of money. So let's get into some of the things that I think you should definitely start looking into procuring if you want to help yourself out, go into a operational deployment or exercise in the future. So one of the first things to consider when purchasing some new gear is some gloves. Now, it doesn't matter which military you're a part of or where you are in the world, you're going to need something that's going to protect the most important part other than your feet of the human body when operating in a operation environment, which is your hands, because they're doing just about everything, whether it be working on a weapon system, repairing something, doing medical procedures, whatever it may be. Your gloves are protecting your hands, and they need to be able to do so in any weather, any climate, any environment that you put them through. Issued gloves normally do the job very, very well, but of course they are issued and you have to replace them, and a lot of people are nervous to replace issued kit because they think it's going to get them in trouble, or that it's going to cost them money, or that their storeman is going to be like, oh god, you keep ruining these gloves. And most of them just bear with the gloves and have little tears and rips and whatever else it may be, and this is compromising the ability for you to use your hands properly. So it's always nice to invest in some really high quality or some really strong grade military style working gloves that are actually going to allow you to do your job a lot more safely and sometimes even more effectively. I'll give you a little example. I had a soldier, including myself, who has actually one time attempted to grab a hot barrel in the heat of the moment when you're in a section attack or whatever else it may be from changing barrels in a machine gun. Totally ridiculous, but your brain sometimes does silly things when you're extremely tired, and if it wasn't for the gloves that I currently own, I would have burnt my hand off with issued gloves because they're not designed to withstand that much heat at any one time. The gloves that I had reinforced leather stitching, double banding of leather there, and really strong, robust material. Totally didn't even notice. A little bit of heat under there, not a big deal, and they were fine. I looked up and I just tried grabbing a machine gun barrel. Stupid idea. This applies for all sorts of things, though, whether it be in the cold conditions. You want something that can be, robust enough not to get tight and stringent on your hands when working in extreme colds. You want something that is potentially waterproof. And, of course, there's not one glove that does it all. I've tried, trust me, in all my career, I've tried finding a glove that can do just about everything. It just doesn't work. But you need to kind of find what works best for you. Now, what I find works best is a good multi-purpose glove that you can use to do most day-to-day jobs. When you're working in extreme cold, we go into a whole new ball game, but try looking for something similar to the mechanics gloves. The mechanics contact gloves are fantastic. They're called M-Pact, and they are really, really good. They do a fantastic job protecting your knuckles and your, the back palm of your hand, which is crucial, and the leather reinforcing strips on the palm of it themselves work really nice, and it has the touchscreen ability on the fingers there for if you're operating any kind of technology, which is really, really nice. I've had my mechanics gloves for quite some time, haven't really had an issue with them at all. They dry very quickly, and they just do a good job, so definitely invest in some good military gloves if you have the ability to. So next up is for footwear. Now, most of you have probably gone out and purchased your own military boots that work for you, and that's great. But one thing that waterproof boots, that they always claim to say do, are not entirely 100% waterproof. And when you're working in snowy, wet, cold environments, you want something that's keep your feet completely dry, but at the same time be able to breathe. The great thing about Neos is that they do that to a very good capability. Neos are an overboot sock, so much to say, or overboot, I guess, cover, almost like gaiters that cover your entire boot in a waterproof membrane slash sock that's going to prevent your gear beneath your ankle there and your boot getting wet and soggy and gross, and still have some ability to breathe. Now, when you put these on for long extended periods of time, of course, normal boot care, normal foot care is still needed. Don't get complacent with these things, but they're very useful if you're going on long patrols through wet grass or through wet snow. It's not a good time getting your waterproof boots soaking wet, and trust me, I have waterproof boots. No matter how much you think they're waterproof, there'll always be some nook or cranny that a couple of drops of water will get into, and that can cause a lot of problems on a patrol or a section attack or whatever else you're doing for the rest of your exercise or deployment. So invest in some Neos, put them on when you need to. They are quite pricey, but trust me, they're worth the investment. As always, your unit is specific as to whether or not you're allowed to wear this kind of stuff, so just verify with your chain of command before you start putting this stuff on. So next up is briefs. Of course, your underwear isn't exactly the number one thing that we want to be talking about, but it is important because when you're going on deployments or exercise, of course, you can't be changing your underwear every day as much as you wish to. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out that way in the conditions and the hygiene routine that you've been provided in your operational deployment or exercise that you're on. You're going to try your best to change your underwear as much as possible, but you want to have underwear that's going to work best for you when you're operating in hot or humid or extreme weather conditions, because it's just a total different way of operating than you would just on a normal run or going to the gym or just going about a normal day-to-day job. You need something that is moisture wicking or that can reduce moisture in your underwear, because at the end of the day, you're doing a lot of physical exertion. You don't want to be getting chafing, etc., etc. The issued underwear is okay, it works, but you want to try and invest in something that's a little bit more specific to, rigorous training, physical training, and, being able to reduce that moisture in and around your nether regions, I guess. So Under Armour makes some really good underwear for both men and women that you can wear in sort of a more rigorous environment when going on operations or exercises. Lots of different options for you. It's all what works best for you. This is a very personal preference kind of clothing item, but experiment. Find out what works best. Go on some runs. Do some vigorous PT. See what works best for you, because whatever you're going to do, remember, it could be done for an extended period of time on your exercises or deployment. So just take a look at it. Try your best not to use, underwear that you would wear in a normal setting, because you're not going into a normal setting of day-to-day lifestyle. This is a very different environment, and if you're not used to it, figure it out. Look at options, see what you can find, and when maybe you come out of basic, you have other options, and you're like, actually, I've just done basic and that just didn't work for me. Invest in some different underwear, see what works for you. So the next one's a bit of a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised at the number of people I find that just don't know how to select a watch for working in a military world. Watches are important, because in the military everything is done by very specific timings, and if you don't know the time, the date, or other information that relates to timekeeping, you're going to be in quite a bit of trouble. So make sure you get a good watch. It needs to be robust, it needs to be strong, it needs to do all the things that you expect a watch to do and more, because you're going to be putting it through the ringer. It's going to be right beside your hands, it's going to be slamming off stuff, it's going to be smashing off things, it's going to be operated at, extreme cold, wet, hot, middle of the night. It needs to operate in all sorts of environments. Now, I don't want you to go insane and start going out and saying, I've got to spend thousands of dollars on a brand new military watch. If you Google military watch, the choices are endless. It's whatever watch works for you. If it tells you the time and you can get information from it that you need, it's passing the test. But make sure that it can do what it needs to do under some more rigorous environment conditions. Don't buy a $10 watch from Walmart and expect it to work perfectly, or a $20 watch from your local jewelry store and be like, yeah, this is going to work perfectly. Now, many people have had good experiences with very, very cheap watches. That's what I'm saying. It's all down to personal preference. Just make sure that when it goes through what you need it to do, it's able to meet the mark. Because if you don't have a good watch and it breaks on you or falls off or gets lost, there's a lot of implications to that, right? Lots of different problems, whether it be the enemy know you're there, you don't know the damn time for your orders and your groupings and all that sort of stuff. It's a big deal. So just please invest in a good watch. Don't spend thousands, but a couple of $100 on a really nice watch that's strong enough and robust enough to do what you need it to do in the military world. Don't try and integrate your civilian watch, your brand new Rolex or your fancy shiny watch in there. It's not worth it. Same thing applies for sort of smart watches. Don't bring your smart watch on an exercise or operational deployment. It's just not worth it. It's going to get smashed, broken. You're going to be devastated all exercise. You're not going to be focusing because you're like, I just broke my $800 watch. Get something that's specific for being, held in environments that's really rough, like G-Shocks. They're really good environmental watch for the military. You can look at a Garmin if you really want to go all out and get sort of a GPS style watch, but it really just needs to be something simple. Tells you the time, tells you the date. Really, that's about it. If you can get one with an alarm, that's helpful to allow you to get up for sentry and things like that. You want one that can glow in the dark at least, or has some sort of light up ability to allow you to see the watch at night, because the last thing you want is, you need to tell the time and your flashlight's dead and there's no light anywhere and you're just like trying to peek at your watch in the middle of the night in pitch black in a wood line to figure out what time your O group is or when you need to step off for an attack. Have a good watch, folks. I cannot express enough how many times I've seen people have problems with their watches, and it's really come to bite them when they're on things like courses or initiating, attacks or fire missions or whatever else it may be. Get a nice watch, treat yourself. It's going to last you a long time throughout your army career or whatever military career you're a part of, and it'll do you well. Now, the next one is just as obvious as some of the others, but a Gerber is something you definitely require when going on any kind of exercise, operational deployment, or even on your day-to-day. A multi-tool is very handy for just about everything, whether it be cutting paracord to fix your tent, or using it to pry something open, whatever it may be. A Gerber or any kind of multi-tool that's strong, robust, not a $10, again, cheap-ass thing from, the dollar store. You need it to be strong enough to do it what you want it to do. I've gone through the cheap ones before. They just don't last. Get a good, long-lasting one, and it's going to do you really good. Trust me, the things that I've used this for that has saved my ass on so many occasions, it's unreal. So spend a little money, get a nice one. I'm not saying specifically go for Gerber. It's just for reference. In the Canadian Armed Forces, we're issued a Gerber, which is really nice, and a holder for it. Try and get a holder that will actually go onto your belt buckle, so it's always on your person, so you don't have to look through your kit and rummage through it everywhere. You want something that's quick and accessible. You can just pull off your belt buckle and off you go, and that's what you need. It has a very small knife, but it does what you need it to do, and a serrated knife to cut as well. Pliers, etc. like that. That's what you need. Okay, folks? So please trust me on this. It's going to help you a lot during your career. Whatever you do, whatever trade you are, get yourself a good multi-tool. Next up is a notebook holder or an orders holder. This is really, really crucial for any trade and any rank. You need something that you can protect your notes from, take copious amounts of notes, your pens, pencils, whatever else it may be that you need to take notes from, which you do in the military all the time for the field. Make sure you get one. Try and get yourself a waterproof notepad. They're not the greatest, but they do pretty good. Get a waterproof one so that you can operate in the wet conditions if needs to, and then just a normal notepad as well. There's thousands of configuration types of notebook holders. Have a look at them, see what works best for you. I like to go for the smaller ones, not these big heavy-duty things that are just too much. You don't need to fill this thing with every piece of paper you can imagine. It needs to be there for quick reference. Put your orders in there if you need to. You might need a little bit bigger there. If you're a leader, you can put some other bits and pieces in that you might need, reference books, handouts, etc. But for the most part, just find something that can hold your notebook that's going to protect it. You can put some other bits and pieces in there, some waterproof matches, miniature little flashlight, pens, pencils, all that sort of stuff. It's crucial because you're going to need it, trust me, no matter what trade you are in the field or on operational deployment. And just having your stuff dotted all over your kit, it's just not good. Have it localized into one specific holder or I guess bag or pouch that you can just pull out and everything is there ready to go. It's going to help you a lot in no matter what you do. Now those of the Canadian Forces are probably well aware as to what this is, a Coleman stove, a naphtha burning stove, really nice bit of kit. It works fantastic for cold weather environments, but it's a bit of a pain in the butt to lug around, and if you don't want to cook for an entire section or even a small squad, and you just want to make something for yourself very quickly, try and invest in something that's like this, but a lot smaller. You can get smaller naphtha stoves, you can get jet boils. The world is your oyster when it comes to finding little cooking devices for making a coffee. I don't drink hot drinks really apart from hot chocolate. I know I'm one of those weird Brits that doesn't drink tea or coffee, but invest in something that can cook even just your MREs or your ration packs up very quickly in hot water, or you can create your hot water to shave and do your morning routine for hygiene. Really handy. Get it again, a good quality system like a Coleman or a jet boil. They make very high quality standard equipment. You don't want something that could be a safety hazard to you or others, leaking fuel, explosions, fires. You see where I'm going with this. Invest in something that works and that's not secondhand or broken. Inspect it before you take it out. Make sure it works and it's fully functional. And trust me when I say this, you can have a lot better of an exercise or deployment that you're going on being able to just make your own hot water very quickly, or even for others very quickly also. Next up is camouflage. Of course, using the little pasty tubes that get issued to you that the Canadian Army give you, they're not the most practical. They burst, they leak, you have to put it all over your hands, it's goopy, it's not great stuff. I would strongly encourage you to invest into a good cam stick paint pad or stick that you can use that is a lot easier to put on your face than it is, sort of the pasty kind of stuff. The reason for that is that you not only get the stick and the pad, but you also get a mirror that you can utilize inside of it, so you can actually see how your cam's looking, because, there's no point putting cam on and just imagining what it's supposed to look like, or someone else trying to do it for you. If you have the cam stick with the with just the stick itself, then sure, it doesn't have a mirror. You ideally want to get a 3-tone finger pad that you can just quickly scrim off a bit of cam, put it onto your face, and use the mirror as reference. Really good bit of kit. They're about $5-6 online. Don't worry too much about skimping out on these ones. It's pretty good stuff. Just make sure you're not allergic to any of the ingredients inside the product. So the last thing you want to do is get into the field, use this stuff, and then your face turns into a freaking mess of inflammation and all that sort of stuff. So just make sure you check and verify before you go in the field. Next up is a good headlamp or head torch or flashlight, whatever you want to call it. Really important bit of kit, folks. Again, many times have I seen people have real problems and struggle on operational deployments, exercises, courses, by having just poor quality or very inefficient headlamps that are just not very useful for in the field. Don't go over the top. You don't need to be spending, $200 on these high-tech, fancy flashlights. A lot of people have very specific helmets nowadays in certain militaries. So if you have a helmet that has quick release connectors that will allow you to get sort of fancy kind of flashlights and headlamps, then go for it. For us in the Canadian Armed Forces, just get a really nice Petzl. I would always invest in 2. Try and get a 2-pack. You can get good deals nowadays on Amazon of sort of a 2-for-1 kind of option. You need to have one that is capable of producing red light. Do not do the cheapskate way of getting a red marker pen and coloring over the one lens or whatever else it may be. Just get one that transforms from white to red light, because sometimes you need white for specific things like safety, and obviously red for the tactical side of things. Those who do have fancy helmets with the clip-ons, again, don't go over the top, don't be crazy with it, but if you have it, use it. If you have those capabilities to use quick release and quick connectors, then grab a flashlight that can do that. For those of us that don't have these really cool helmets, and I wish we did, just get one that has a straight singular band. Do not get one that has a triple band, i.e. one that goes over the top of your head. The reason for this is most of the time you're not always going to be having the thing on your head. It's very easy to lose it. So what you tend to do is actually put it around your neck with the kind of the quick release coupling there that snaps in case you get caught on something. Just have it around your neck. With the triple band strap, you can't put it around your neck because the top band just gets caught around your neck. It's just a pain in the butt. So stick with the singular band type of flashlight. Also with the triple band flashlights that you get, they sometimes don't fit over your entire helmet the way that they've been constructed. So the singular band, pretty much all of them that you get, will be able to adjust into the full length and size of your helmet, the diameter of your helmet. So don't get the triple bands, work on the doubles. They work really good. And yeah, that's going to help you a lot during your exercise for sure. And as I said, try and get 2, one as a backup, keep them on your persons. Keep one in your small pack or in your rucksack or whatever, and the other one on you at all times. And make sure that you have spare batteries for all of them. What I tend to do is get 3 AAA batteries, which is what they normally take, and then electrician tape 3 of them to the back of the band, so that if you have the 3 die in your flashlight there and then, you can just cut the tape off the back of your band, take the 3 batteries out and put them straight into your flashlight, and then you don't have to be rummaging through all your kit in the pitch black trying to find these things. They're right on your flashlight. Next up is a first aid kit. Now, most militaries will issue you some sort of first aid equipment with your section level or platoon level or whatever company level you may have with the medics, but it's always nice to have your own little personal first aid kit for when you have your own cuts, scrapes, bruises, or whatever else you have going on. You can customize it to your own setup. You know what your body does and what happens to it, whether it be blisters or, you know, whatever it may be. Have a little emergency first aid kit just for yourself. It doesn't need to be big. It needs to be something that can fit in about the size of your palm. You know, doesn't need to be huge, because if you make a big setup, it's just going to be more of a hindrance than anything else. Something that has some basics in it, bandages, you know, dressings, some alcoholic swipes. That's about it. You don't need anything intensive, because A, they get expensive, B, you are not a medic, and if you are, then of course you have your own specialist equipment. Just take it easy, don't go over the top with this. It just needs something that can do some very simple stuff to repair some of your cuts and bruises you may get in your normal operations and things you get up to on exercise. And finally, a bit of a creature comfort. We all love our technology and our phones and all that sort of stuff, although mostly when you're on exercise and operational deployment, you can't really use them. You're too busy, or you just don't have the ability to because your chain of command told you not to use them, whatever it may be. However, when you come out of the field, normally your phone's dead, you can't contact your friends, family, coming back from wherever you need to come, and you can't charge anywhere because there's no power point. So a nice thing to get is a little portable charging unit. You can either get a solar-powered one, a battery bank, whatever it may be, that allow you to charge your cellular device or any other bit of equipment you may need to charge out in the field. There may be other things you want to use that will make your life a little easier. I know some people have flashlights that are rechargeable via USB, so this is the kind of system you want to use. They're really, really good bits of kit to have elsewhere as well, not just in, you know, the military world. You can use them outside the world as well in your civilian careers or whatever else you do. Please be cautious of getting some of these units. There is a lot of knockoff, cheap, nasty junk out there that can get very dangerous, very hot, cause fires, burn you, explode, etc., etc. Invest in a good unit that has a good reputation and is robust enough that you can throw it around a little bit in your pack or the back of a vehicle or whatever else, and it's not going to do any damage to you or other people, including your cellular device or something that you're charging, because there's a lot of systems out there that have caused a lot of problems for people. Don't skip out on this, folks. Invest good money into it. Remember, it's going to help you not just in your military career, but can help you outside of your military career as well for things you need to do. For instance, like emergencies in your vehicle. Really, really important bit of kit. So I myself have not actually got one. I will be investing one in the near future. The solar-powered ones, there's all sorts of stuff you can get, but definitely something to look at getting in the future for whenever you deploy or when you're going on some kind of exercise in the future. So that's it, everyone. 10 things that you should definitely look at investing in for your future in the military if you wish to. As I said, please make sure that you confirm with your chain of command if you can buy or use these things. There's no point in you spending good money on this kit and then being like, oh, well, I can't even use it. There are stringent policies in place of certain equipment that can or cannot be worn or used, so just verify before you cause yourself a bit of problems with either your chain of command or your bank account. I hope you learned a little bit of something from here today. If you want to learn about anything else you think you need for the field or for operational deployments, please let me know. I've got a longer list other than these 10 items. Lots of other little intricate little pieces that, you know, a lot of people will bypass or don't really realize are actually really useful. But these top 10 are definitely going to give you a really good start and help you out quite a bit, I think, when you're going out and exercising and doing what you need to do. If you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more content like this, please leave me a like and also a comment. I'd love to hear your opinion on future content you may want to see in regards to, you know, military service or stuff that you want tips or advice for. I'm happy to help, staying within my lanes, within my boundaries, of course, because I'm not a subject matter expert for everything in terms of, you know, the military. I know my own experiences, and that's why I'm going to try and share and help, you know, aspiring soldiers or soldiers that are already serving to take away from. If you want to see more of my content, please feel free to hit the little bell button by the subscribe button or the subscribe button itself if you're new to the channel, and welcome. Those who have been contributing towards my Patreon page, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for helping out. It really does mean a lot to me for those who have been donating. And if you want to check out any of my social media or anything else like that, go check in the description box below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. All the best. Bye-bye.